Ristar isn't just another Sega Genesis platformer from 1995. It's one of the most criminally underrated masterpieces in gaming history. While most players were busy collecting rings with a certain blue hedgehog, Sega quietly released what many consider to be their most innovative and polished 2D adventure. But here's where things get interesting. Ristar was actually born from the early concepts that would eventually become Sonic the Hedgehog. The original idea featured a character who could grab and stretch. Sound familiar? When Sega decided to go with speed instead of stretching for their new mascot, the grabbing mechanic was shelved for years. So you'd think after Sonic became a global phenomenon, selling millions of copies and establishing Sega as Nintendo's biggest rival, that they would immediately dust off their brilliant character concept, but they didn't, not for years. What happened during those crucial years when Sega could have been building another franchise? The gaming landscape was shifting rapidly, the 16-bit era was reaching its peak, and developers were pushing the Genesis hardware to its absolute limit. Meanwhile, Sega was juggling multiple projects, Sonic sequels, the Saturn console development, and the growing arcade division. It wasn't until 1994 that a small team at Sega, led by some of the same developers who had worked on Sonic, finally got the green light to create something with that original grabbing mechanic. They had just 1 year to create what would become Ristar, a game that would showcase everything the Sega Genesis could do in terms of animation, music, and pure creative gameplay. The result was extraordinary. Ristar featured some of the most fluid animation ever seen on the system, a soundtrack that rivaled anything Sega had produced, and gameplay mechanics that were both intuitive and endlessly creative. Critics praised its innovation, its charm, and its technical achievement. Many called it the best platformer on the system, not starring a hedgehog. But there was one problem: timing. By 1995, most players had moved on to the 32-bit system or were waiting for the next generation. Ristar's release was overshadowed by the Saturn launch, and despite its quality, it became one of gaming's great what-if stories. Modern players discovering Ristar today still have to deal with the same challenges that faced gamers in 1995. The game's unique mechanics take time to master. Some of the later levels feature puzzle elements and boss strategies that aren't immediately obvious. And unlike many retro gamers, there aren't countless guides and speedrun videos to help players through the tougher sections. But what if I told you that with the right audience, you could experience every secret, every hidden area, and every boss strategy that makes this game special? What if I told you there are bonus stages that most players never find, and password codes that unlock entirely new ways to play? What if I told you that understanding a few key techniques could transform the most frustrating moments into the most satisfying gaming experiences you've had in years? Welcome to our complete Ristar walkthrough series for the Sega Genesis, where we'll uncover every secret this masterpiece has to offer. Whether you're a longtime fan looking for everything you've missed, or a newcomer ready to discover why this game deserves to be mentioned alongside the greatest platformers ever made, this series will be your complete guide. If you're ready to experience one of gaming's greatest hidden gems the way it was meant to be played, make sure to subscribe for the full series. We'll be covering every planet, every boss, every secret, and every technique you need to master this incredible adventure. And if you want to support more deep dives into gaming's forgotten masterpieces, check out our Patreon link in the description. Now, let's grab something special and swing into action. Stage 1-1, Fields. The adventure begins in Flora's peaceful fields, though hidden secrets reward thorough explanation. Immediately after encountering the first orb, players should grab the wall to the left, revealing a concealed extra life within the structure. After climbing the initial ladder and defeating the rabbit enemy, cross the chasm using the overhead rung. Navigate carefully across the floating platform ahead. Lingering too long triggers attacks, from Venus flytraps lurking below. Climb the ladder again and swing across the poles to reach a small opening containing another 1-up. Descend and strike the wall at the bottom to make a jewel appear. The area where dandelion clocks float upward offers multiple secrets. First head right to collect the jewel from the hidden hole. Then grab a dandelion clock and ride it up to claim an extra star positioned on a high platform. Mid-boss, Sneaky Snake. This serpentine opponent emerges from holes throughout the arena. Continuously attack it while following its movement pattern. 3 successful hits eliminate the threat. Players who reach the arena's highest point will discover a chest containing a valuable silver star. After the snake's defeat, climb to the right side. Use the repeated wall grabs to scale the left wall, revealing another jewel. The star handle provides the exit route. Aim to exit as high as possible for maximum bonus points, with 20,100 points being the optimal score. Stage 1-2, Dark Woods. Navigate primarily along the stage's upper sections, striking tree trunks to reveal random bonuses. The orb resting in a hammock can be awakened and destroyed for points. Grab the first bat to discover a platform with a crystal, then strike the next tree to topple it completely. Multiple orbs will cascade down when the tree falls. Some will drop through the floor naturally, so focus on eliminating only those that remain. Cross the fallen tree and drop to the star handle, using it to fly up to a chest guarded by a chicken. This chest contains a valuable 1-up. Topple the subsequent tree, and after crossing it, climb the following tree to grab a bat. Let this creature carry you to another platform, then grab the second bat to fly over the bonus handle. Bonus stage number 2. Simply grab the overhead bars in sequence to climb upward, reaching the chest that contains an apple reward. The level transitions to darkness as a monkey begins hurling strawberries. Players can illuminate the path by striking lampposts, though dodging the strawberry barrage remains essential. Navigate to the star handle at this section's conclusion. Boss, Raiho is coming. Raiho arrives with the strawberry throwing monkey on his back. His primary attack involves creating and throwing rope. Getting caught allows the monkey to descend and inflict damage. He also launches snowflakes from elevated position. Grab Raiho 3 times to dislodge the monkey, then quickly strike the monkey before it recovers. After 3 hits, the monkey's defeat breaks its mind control spell over Raiho, completing the encounter.
Fun fact: the Ice World boss was totally changed for the West. In Japan, it was a giant robot cat that hated hot food, a play on a Japanese saying about cats and hot dishes. But since that joke didn't make any sense overseas, they swapped it for an ice monster instead. Remember when every platformer was about speed or jumping? Mario hopped, Sonic sprinted, but Ristar grabbed, literally. Armed with stretchable arms that could reach in 8 directions, Ristar latched onto enemies, swung across poles, and headbutted his way through the galaxy in peril. For many players, it was the first time a platformer asked you to think with your arms instead of your feet. And how about those star handles? If you spun fast enough and launched at just the right moment, Ristar would soar across the screen in a dazzling meteor strike, sparkling with invincibility. Back in the day, that move felt like pure magic.
On to planet Undertow, stage 2-1, crossing the ocean. Head right and grab the wall to flood the entire level with water. Striking the wall correctly generates a jewel. If unsuccessful, descend and attack again. Swim upward and left to locate the bonus handle. Bonus stage number 3. Swim downward to collect the chest, but the oyster shell inside floats away leftward. Navigate around the alternate route to successfully collect collect this floating prize. Continue rightward, walking on the surface when possible, dive underwater when necessary, swim through the tunnel, and surface in the next pool. Head right and climb the wall to discover a jewel. Then climb the opposite wall for a star housed in a chest. Water levels rise and fall dramatically.
Fun fact, if you spin Ristar fast enough on special star handles, he blasts off in a meteor strike, making him invincible for a short time.
Mid-boss, 3 waves. 3 consecutive tidal waves bring different enemy types. First, avoid the missiles from 3 orbs, then eliminate them upon landing. Repeat this strategy for 3 fish, then 3 skulls. The skulls appear menacing, but prove surprisingly easy to defeat.
Did you know? The Japanese version of the story has Ristar's bomb. The mother of shooting stars summoned him to save the galaxy, but in the international version, Sega rewrote it so he's rescuing his kidnapped dad instead.
Stage 2-2, Lost City. This extensive underwater adventure begins by swimming right to find a platform with face-spitting frogs. Destroy the face and climb up the right wall for a jewel. Head left, avoiding the starfish. Then use bubbles as temporary platforms to reach the platform with a 1-up. Swim downward and eliminate another face to open the passage. The next room contains 4 chests behind a locked door. Opening all chests unlocks the exit, though at least 2 contain seahorses. Navigate through multiple chambers, each presenting unique challenges. Face spawning frogs, seahorse guarded areas, generator, created currents requiring rapid swimming, and shellfish encounters. The generator passages demand swift movement to avoid being pushed backward by artificial currents.
Behind the star was a team at Sega with talent that had some serious pedigree. Atsuhiko Nakamura directed the project, steering Sega's vision for a new mascot. Akira Nishino, the designer, actually carried sketches for a potential sequel that sadly never happened. The music, that came from Tomoko Sasaki, who later went on to craft the enchanting soundtrack of Nights into Dreams. And that art, that was handled by Yuji Yukawa, who later became famous for reimagining Sonic's sleek, modern look in the Dreamcast era. In a way, Ristar wasn't just a standalone project. It was a stepping stone. Many of the same developers would go on to create Nights into Dreams for the Saturn, another Sega classic brimming with creativity. Fun fact, in 2017, Games Radar ranked Ristar the 41st best Sega Genesis game of all time. Not bad for a little star who never got a sequel. Back in the mid-90s, Sega was at the top of its game. Sonic was running rings around Mario, the Genesis was still alive and kicking, and then in 1995, Sega quietly released a little gem called Ristar. It wasn't just another platformer, it was full of heart, color, and innovation. But sadly, it launched just months before the Sega Saturn arrived, leaving this star to shine quietly in the shadows. Fun fact, if you finish levels quickly enough, the game rewards you with continues. Speedrunners must love that incentive.
Boss battle, Ohsat attack. Swim past 3 caged fish that disappear after a few moments to reach the massive hammerhead shark. Ohsat's attack include high-speed charges through the water, dropping ceiling rocks, deploying jellyfish mines, and sending smaller fish to attack. These can be eliminated in single hits. Each successful attack on Ohsat removes a plug, draining water from the arena. Once all the water is drained, deliver one final hit to complete the battle.
Ristar never got a sequel. His moment in the spotlight was short, and the world was moving on to polygons and 3D worlds, but his charm never faded. Over the years, Sega kept him alive through re-releases, cameos in Shenmue capsule toys, and even a flagman role in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform. And in 2017, Games Radar ranked Ristar among the top 50 Genesis games of all time. Proof that even if sales didn't make him a star, memory certainly did. So if you were lucky enough to play Ristar back in the day, you know this little shooting star still shines bright in gaming history.
On to Planet Scorch, Stage 3-1, Volcanic Plains. Destroy the orb generator by descending and activating the flame switch. Climb the first ladder and retrieve the decoy Ristar from the box. Deploy this on pressure pads that trigger cage traps. Being trapped subjects players to torture by a green orb, though the cage can be destroyed with 2 hits. The subsequent cage traps players over a furnace controlled by an orb. Use the same decoy strategy, then descend to eliminate the orb directly. Defeat the vulture quickly and continue along the path, grabbing ceiling handles when the lava waves appear. The silver star provides crucial health before the challenging sections ahead. Cross rapidly before the vulture can grab and relocate players. Use the star handle. The following section presents particular difficulty. Activate the pressure pad to release a jewel, then ascend quickly to avoid rising lava. At the summit, use platforms to dodge falling magma. Try grabbing undersides as one conceals a jewel. Wall climb to the chest on the final platform for another jewel. Descend while eliminating orbs, then head left using star handles to reach a 1-up before proceeding right to the mid-boss encounter. Mid-boss, Memory Test. Face 6 hollows where pairs of eyes appear from 4 of them in sequence. 4 orbs then appear with numbers indicating the correct sequence. Hit them in the proper order to earn a crystal. The second round features 5 orbs with numbers that vanish immediately, requiring pure memory. Success grants a star. The final round presents 6 orbs with no numerical guidance. Memorize the sequence carefully. Completion awards a 1-up, while mistake results in lava scorching and restarting the section. Stage 3.2, Under Factory. The optimal route utilizes the upper path accessible via star handle. Eliminate the orb with circling flames on the bridge. Jumping and grabbing mid-jump proves the most effective. Drop past the bridge and strike the right wall for a crystal. Then climb back up and proceed right down the pulley lift. Reach an area containing a star handle with secret rewards. A star to the left accessible by wall grabbing, and a chest with a silver star to the right. Heading left leads to a jewel in a chest. Descend, then use the wall grabs to access it. The star handle provides access to a valuable 1000 point jewel and a 1-up and the bonus handle. Navigate the difficult section by eliminating orbs before they detonate bombs and destroy level portion. This area requires careful timing and positioning. Boss, Adahan Fall. Walk carefully while avoiding falling rocks collecting the silver star if needed. Stand on either screen side as the giant armadillo in a robot suit appears. Adahan employs 4 distinct attacks: dirt waves across the floor, blocks player attacks, throwing claws, vulnerable moment for counterattacks, rock falls, block attacks, and hovering corner attacks with thrown claws. During the corner attack, skilled players can grab the flying claws and ride back to inflict damage. After 2 hits, Adahan changes color and collapses the floor. Strike him once during the fall to land on solid ground and repeat the pattern. The robot suit eventually breaks, revealing a small armadillo that sends pathetically weak dirt waves. A single hit completes the battle.
So what did the critics of the day think? Let's open the time capsule. Sega Magazine gave it an 87%, praising its gameplay, graphics, and music, but admitted it borrowed a little too much from other hits of the time. Sega Pro said, if you judged games purely based on their looks, you'd think this was Sonic, but when you started playing, it's a much slower, more strategic game. They gave it another solid 87%. Meanwhile, Sega Power was a bit harsher, handing it a 74% and calling it not as good as Sonic. And over in Japan, Famitsu scored it 29 out of 40. Respectable, but not spectacular. Looking back now, those reviews feel charmingly dated. Critics wanted speed, they wanted another Sonic. But Ristar was never about that. It was about precision, puzzles, and personality.
On to Planet Sonata, Stage 4-1, Metronome. This musical planet requires delivering metronomes to guard birds, blocking progress. Each delivery adds to the theme's music. The first guard is straightforward, but after giving the metronome, collect the next metronome and throw it into the fan while eliminating the orb. All orbs on this level steal metronome and return them to the earlier position. Allow the pulley to carry the metronome upward, eliminate the horn, then use the fan to lift the metronome to the ladder's top. Navigate past spikes using the pulley system, grabbing through the bars. Place the metronome on another fan and climb using handles, then temporarily leave it. Use nearby handles to make significant jumps rightward to reach the bonus handle.
Here's a pretty cool one. In the Japanese ending, Ristar doesn't reunite with anyone. Instead, it shows villain Kaiser Greedy stranded on a planet, staring up at Ristar's image in the sky. Pretty dark.
Retrieve the metronome from the spike bed by throwing it into the center, swinging across, and collecting it from the opposite side. While grabbing on the left reveals a yellow star and a chest containing a silver star. The underground route features a switch system. Place the metronome on switches to open doors, then collect it from the opposite side. Navigate past horns and pulleys that return metronomes to the previous positions.
Here's the thing about Ristar, it wasn't just unique, it was Sega experimenting at the tail end of the 16-bit era. The Genesis was winding down, the Sega Saturn was already on the horizon, and while Ristar's world was bursting with color, clever puzzles, and creative boss fights, it was almost instantly overshadowed by the rush toward 3D gaming. Still, for those who picked it up, it felt special. Those were the days when Sega wasn't afraid to try something weird and wonderful.
Mid-boss, the Birdie Song. A punk conductor bird appears while 3 nodding birds randomly strike the ground. Each requires 3 hits to defeat. When the music changes, 4 orbs float in. Eliminate them quickly before returning to the bird battle.
Fun fact, even though it didn't sell big at launch, modern reviews often call Ristar one of the Genesis hidden gems. Nintendo Life even gave it a 9 out of 10 years later.
Stage 4.2, Dance, Dance. This stage resembles traditional platforming more closely. Grab the pulley and maintain hold until solid ground appears below. Then drop quickly to avoid spike beds. Grab drums to generate random bonuses or orbs. Navigate around guitars and eliminate birds while bouncing on bongos. Guide Ristar toward overhead platforms with chests. Standing on chests to reach walls above for jewels. Use pulleys carefully, releasing immediately after clearing bagpipes to reveal chests containing 1-ups. Navigate through shaft systems using star handles, then use bongos to spring up windy passages to guitars. Going straight leads to dangerous bagpipe areas. From the guitars, eliminate bagpipes and birds, then drop down and collect the wall jewel before exiting. Boss Battle, Awaueck Swing. This unique encounter places Ristar on stage before a bird audience. A singing thrush appears on a perch, but Awaueck, the eagle, disapproves and knocks her off. Stand beneath the perch and grab Awaueck 3 times. Avoid his musical notes and fruit hurled by the audience. Awaueck falls and attacks directly with dive bombs, dropping attacks and feather molting. Keep him occupied for star appearances if health is low. Otherwise, strike him twice. After 3 cycles, Awaueck is defeated, restoring harmony to the concert.
Here's a cool bit of trivia. Designer Akira Nishido once admitted that he had started sketching ideas for a Ristar sequel, but it never happened. Can you imagine what a Ristar 2 might have looked like on the Sega Saturn? Okay, think fast. Which Sega magazine gave Ristar a solid 87% rating back in 1995? Here's a retro nugget. Ristar wasn't officially labeled as a Sonic Team game at release, but later re-releases and compilations kept grouping it with Sonic, so fans often consider it part of the family.
Planet Freon, Stage 5-1, Have an Ice Day. This straightforward level becomes challenging if players fall to the bottom. The stage opens with Ristar skiing down slopes reminiscent of Sonic 3's Ice Cap Zone. Ignore the chimpanzee-like creature initially, ascend and collect the jewel, then immediately grab the platform, correctly positioned for another jewel. Slide along the level's upper sections, and attempt a significant jump at the end to reach 2 1-ups. If falling occurs, touch crystals when enlarged to speed along if using star handles. Pass over spikes quickly as the chimpanzee attempts to knock them upward. Falling to lower levels requires taking the extended route back to the start. Before meeting the chimpanzee, grab the low ceiling to make a star appear. Mid-boss, snowball fight with the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee drops bomb. Jump and grab without touching explosives. Follow the snow mounds where Ristar automatically creates snowballs. Avoid the chimpanzee snowballs while picking up and throwing your own. Success requires practice as the opponent blocks many shots, but 3 hits secure victory. Stage 5-2, Splash Snow. Navigate while eliminating enemies, choosing between underwater and surface routes. Underwater travel leftward allows grabbing crystals to break them for jewels, but requires negotiating narrow ice passages. Use salmon to overcome cliffs by grabbing them and swinging back and forth when nearly high enough before releasing to land on cliffs. After the second salmon section, use crystals to reach high platforms with chests containing 1600 point jewels. This action must be repeated to actually obtain the crystal. Navigate generator tunnels underwater. Both prove challenging as salmon interfere with movement. The shaft's summit contains an orb nearly surrounded by spikes, requiring careful approach. Use ice slides by jumping from side to side. This section demands practice for proper execution. Head left to the bonus handle after reaching the top.
Did you know? Reviews at the time were solid. Sega Magazine gave it an 87%, and Game Fan scored it 93%. Critics loved the graphics and music, though some said it felt too much like Sonic with puzzles. Okay, for the die-hard fans, Ristar was overshadowed at launch by Sega's next big console release, which system stole the spotlight just 3 months later.
Boss, Itamor Lunch. This initially small boss grows massive after jumping onto player platforms. The chimpanzee returns, feeding Itamor curry that excites him into aerial jumps. Stand approximately 1 centimeter from the screen's left edge and watch Itamor's shadow position carefully to avoid being crushed while maintaining curry feeding opportunities. Itamor throws vegetables and uses icy breath attacks that free graze but don't damage. This can facilitate easier feeding. When Itamor begins suction attacks, run left and hope for the chimpanzee's return with curry. Getting sucked in with curry causes no energy loss. Throw curry into his open mouth until he turns red. Another curry makes him vomit on the floor. Strike him during this vulnerable moment to send him flying home.
Fun fact, Sega originally pitched Ristar as the next big mascot after Sonic, but because the Genesis was on its last legs, the poor star never got the spotlight it deserved. Quick challenge, in Ristar, how many different directions can his stretchable arms reach? Here's a tricky one. What's the name of the evil space pirate that Ristar battles across the galaxy?
Planet Automation, Stage 6-1, Future World. This challenging stage demands careful movement around deadly obstacles, eliminate enemies, and use moving bars precisely to reach the screen's top. Then use springs to access handles. Continue right until finding anti-gravity shoes that create underwater-like movement. Navigate the passage, collecting the easily accessible chest containing a 1600-point jewel. When paths fork, without anti-gravity shoes, head right and climb the spike-equipped bar shaft carefully. Spikes exist on the opposite sides. At the summit, head right from the top. The left leads to bonuses via treacherous paths. Use floating green objects to fly and jump between them, avoiding spike damage. Successful completion of this section provides restart points for deaths.
Did you know Ristar's health system is shown as 4 stars in the corner of the screen? Collect yellow stars to heal 1 or blue stars to refill them all.
Mid-boss, the Orb Army. A squadron of orbs appears led by one wearing a hard hat, the Sergeant. This leader serves as the primary target through 4 regular attack patterns in sequence, though the starting pattern varies randomly. Pattern 1, group formation, attacking from above. Wait for the Sergeant's attack and grab him, ignoring others if desired. Pattern 2, sine wave movement, up and down. Stand in a position and grab the Sergeant from underneath. Pattern 3, circular formation around the Sergeant. Attack aggressively until breakthrough is achieved. Pattern 4, cross formation with centered Sergeant, which requires an identical strategy to Pattern 3. After 5 hits, the Sergeant lands head first, but remains dangerous to touch. Grab him once more for final elimination. Stage 6-2, Brain Maze. Navigate this enjoyable maze using teleports between rooms. Deaths restart players in the room where they occurred rather than the level beginning. Room number 1. Immediately grab the left wall for a 1-up appearance. Then grab the crystal and place it in the chamber to activate teleportation. Room number 2. Eliminate the green robot that accelerates with each hit to obtain a crystal. Room number 3. Grab the left wall's middle section for a crystal. Then grab the vertically moving platform to switch it to horizontal movement. When near the teleporter, grab again for vertical movement and use as a platform. Room number 4. Use the beam to enter background areas and eliminate orbs that can hit foreground players. Return to the foreground and enter the teleporter. Room number 5, use the star handle to navigate the spike-filled shaft upward. Room number 6, open the chest for a star. No additional contents exist. Room number 7, eliminate the blue robot by knocking it backward before it crushes players against walls.
Did you know the level names were changed in the English versions to be more descriptive? Sega even added little cutscenes, like Ristar Scheme, to make the game feel more connected.
Room number 8, 4 platforms similar to Room 3 using identical strategies.
Let's test your localization knowledge. In the Japan version, who awakens Ristar to save the galaxy?
Room number 9, 4 wallpaper rips contain random content. One holds a crystal, others contain orbs or green robots similar to room number 2. Room number 10, climb the left wall for a silver star. Grab the star handles and aim for the top right teleporter. Room number 11, accessible only from the top right teleporter, containing a 1-up. Room number 12, navigate while avoiding or eliminating robots throughout the passage.
Nostalgia Trip. In 2017, Games Radar ranked Ristar on its list of the best Sega Genesis games of all time. Do you know what spot it landed at?
Room number 13, destroy the red wall, grab the star handle, and spin until orb rain ceases and the crystal appears. Before leaving, grab the vertical wall directly above the crystal hatch for a jewel. Room number 14 contains another star reward. Room number 15, enter background mode. Use star handles or ladders, then exit from the top left. Room number 16, use the star handle. Room number 18 contains only 2 robot obstacles. If room 16 navigation failed, use star handles to access the secret teleporter near the exit's top, returning to room 16. Boss, uranium power. Walk past television screens while monitoring the robot's movements. Jump to dodge thrown bolts. Then enter the robot-controlled room with Inonis behind in a spaceship. The robot randomly throws screws, which bounce, cricket balls, which roll, and springs, which bounce significantly. Avoid attacks through continuous grabbing motions. When the robot snorts like a bull, it's charging an energy attack. Immediately begin attacking. Watch for sliding attacks as well. When the robot falls, wait for Inonis' hook to land nearby and punch it to strike the robot. Eventually the robot short circuits, but Inonis grabs it and flies away, requiring pursuit. Onto Greedy Space City.
Fun fact, Ristar even pops up as the flagman in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform. Not a bad gig for a forgotten Sega hero. So, in the international version, the story was changed. Instead of Arudo, who is Ristar trying to rescue?
Climb the shaft while ignoring the eye obstacle, then walk through the door at the summit.
Did you know Ristar shows up as a collectible toy in Shenmue and Shenmue 2? Yep, you can literally grab a little Ristar figure right within the game. Let's test your memory. In which Sega racing game did Ristar show up as a flagman?
Boss, Inonis, attack the strange contraption-seated opponent while avoiding boomerang and gun attacks. His shield blocks attacks, but occasionally he repairs it. Grab him during these vulnerable moments, watch for charged energy attacks, and grab him at precisely the right moment to make them miss. 5 successful hits eliminates this threat. Players are then sucked through a tube to face the final confrontation.
Here's some behind the scenes trivia. Many of the developers who worked on Ristar went on to create Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn. That's a pretty legendary follow-up project. Fun fact, the Game Gear version of Ristar isn't just a port, it's a completely different game with new levels and mechanics.
Final boss, Greedy. Begin by destroying all orbs Greedy creates. Then begin rapid movement throughout the arena. Generate extra stars by waiting for his circular orb formation attacks. Walk back and forth, changing direction with each fired orb to avoid them all. Grab the final orb to potentially generate silver stars.
Here's one for the Sega fans. Ristar was originally based on an early Sega mascot prototype. Instead of stretchy arms, what body part did that prototype use to grab objects?
Enter the next phase with full health. After 5 hits, Greedy powers up a lethal black hole. Grab all appearing orbs to avoid instant death, and release and grab new ones to prevent impact damage. Continue aggressive attacks on Greedy while avoiding his surface, proximity, electrical attacks. 5 additional hits complete the final battle, saving the universe from Greedy's tyranny. Passwords. Passwords appear during end credits with quantity determined by completing bonus stages. MAGURO, Onchi System Setup, allows sound test, tune distortion similar to level 4 boss effect. DOFEEL accesses individual bonus stages for practice session. MUSEUM, Boss Rush Mode, defeat each boss consecutively for fastest time with limited lives. Super or Superb accesses super mode beyond normal and hard difficulties, provides 1 life and energy bar with no extra stars, creating near impossible completion conditions but offering infinite continues. I Love You accesses level selection screen for any stage navigation. MIE accesses true sight mode, not given in game, makes silver stars appear wherever hidden wall items exist, eliminating guesswork for secret locations. These passwords unlock Ristar's full potential, providing access to every hidden feature and gameplay mode this masterpiece offers. I'm the Retro Kingpin, thanks for watching.